It took 1 week. 1 week. This time last week, I was on here praising how great Smackdown was. WWE was backed into a corner, and what did they do? They gave us great fucking television. I called it probably the best Smackdown of all time. Some people disagreed with me. I actually had somebody tell me, well, obviously you didn't watch WWE Smackdown in the Attitude Era or in the Ruthless Aggression Era. And honestly, no, I didn't, because who the hell had UPN back then? I didn't have UPN. Did you have UPN? No. The internet wasn't where it is today, where you have a stable connection to watch wrestling online. So no, I didn't get to watch SmackDown. So in my estimate, in my view, it was one of the greatest SmackDowns we've ever had. However, Raw started sucking the hype that I had for Survivor Series out. NXT had me more hyped for War Games than it did for Survivor Series, which is really, it's not good for NXT that they have to hype 2 pay-per-views at once, as NXT TakeOver War Games is going to be done on Saturday in 2 weeks, and War Game and Survivor Series is going to be the next night. So they're kind of in a bind where they have to hype up 2 shows, whereas Raw and SmackDown only have to hype up 1. And then we get to SmackDown this week. They were in the UK. We had the Imperium invade. They disappeared after being run off by the SmackDown crew. And then Shayna Baszler attacked Bayley. And that was it. Nothing else was built towards SmackDowns. Nothing else was built towards Survivor Series outside of Carmella and Dana Brooke becoming part of Team SmackDown. But this show just sucked. We had a great SmackDown last week, and this week we're back to status quo. All from Baron Corbin, starting off with one of the worst promos I have ever heard, making fun of Roman Reigns, having Roman Reigns' big dog picture on the Titantron start barking like a chihuahua. That was absolutely terrible. Him saying, we're going to take doggy poop bags and pick up Roman Reigns' shit and take it home as a souvenir. Just cringe all the way around. This show, after what we had last week, I wish we could have just had that show on repeat. If SmackDown would have started, it would have been an encore presentation of what happened last week. I would have been like, oh, this is cool because I can sit there and enjoy another 2 hours of SmackDown. Monday Night Raw sucked. Then you had NWA Power and NWA and AEW Dark. AEW on Thursday. They had a special episode of AEW Dark tonight, which was going on before SmackDown. And then you had SmackDown. Raw and SmackDown absolutely sucked this week. AEW Dark episode 6 was actually one of the weaker episodes they've done with Dark. But I would take that 1 hour over this 2 hours crap that we got tonight. Again, Baron Corbin started the show off. He just makes fun of Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns was off doing charity work, so he got to sit there and talk shit for about 20 minutes. Nothing else to say here. The main event of the show is Baron Corbin versus Roman Reigns. Give me a fucking break. Kevin Braxton is backstage with Big E and Kofi Kingston on the New Day. They mentioned Xavier Woods and then the Revival. They need to win the titles tonight so they can catch up with Charlotte Flair's title count. They go on about winning the titles and say they're doing it for Xavier Woods. And then Big E starts going absolutely nuts, saying, it's for Woods, it's for Woods. He grabs Kayla Braxton, wraps his arms around her, and just looks like he's trying to start humping her dog like a dog would before they faded to black. So, yeah, that's not an image I wanted to see. SmackDown Tag Team Championship, the New Day versus the Revival. The New Day are 7-time Tag Team Champions. Gee, that match that they advertised on Monday, the Viking Raiders versus the Revival versus the Undisputed Era. That looked like a money match. That looked like that was going to be great. And what did WWE do? They took it away from us and put the New Day in there. The New Day are 7-time Tag Team Champions. Do they need to be Tag Team Champions again? No. Does WWE have any other credible tag teams on SmackDown right now? No. The B Team gets beat up later in the show. Heavy Machinery gets beat up later in the show. Yes, Heavy Machinery would have been a better pick in my opinion. But they gave them to the New Day. Why? 1, because they're one of Vince McMahon's favorites. And 2, I think it's WWE saying, hey, Kofi, remember when you lost to Brock Lesnar in 7 minutes? Well, 7 seconds, we're going to fix that and give you this championship. So that was that. Sasha Banks and Nikki Cross was later in the show. We see Roman Reigns coming in, and Chad Gable is snitching on what Baron Corbin said to him by talking to Roman. So people were making jokes about snitches get stitches and shit when it came to Chad Gable. He was wearing a different color attire tonight instead of that light blue and green combination. It was dark blue and gold. Better looking color combination, still a shitty looking attire. Sami Zayn stops Daniel Bryan in the back, says Bryan would have defeated the NXT champion Adam Cole last week if he would have joined him and Intercontinental champion Shinsuke Nakamura when he recently offered. Sami goes on about how he can help Bryan, his career, and his family, and tells Bryan to just ask Cesaro and Nakamura what he's done for them. Sami says Cesaro and Nakamura will be in the tag team action tonight. He invites Bryan to join him at ringside to watch the match. We see Sami. And that was that. So Sami Zayn still trying to build a faction here, as he has, I guess, Cesaro as well under his guiding Cesaro into being whatever they're going to do with him. Then we go to the ring, and Heavy Machinery and Tucker Knight and Notice Dozovich come out for a match, but as soon as they hit the ring, they're suddenly attacked by Imperium, UK champion Walter, Marcel Barthel, Fabian Aichner, and Alexander Wolf. They destroy Tucker and Otis, and out come the New Day, Apollo Crews, all lead Chad Gable to make the save. Imperium retreats, leaves the ring, and that is all we saw from them tonight. So that is one of two NXT invasions on the night. Kayla Braxton is backstage with Sasha Banks and SmackDown Women's Champion Bayley. Brings up last week attack by Women's Champion Shayna Baszler, and if that's a sign of things to come, she says no. That was just Baszler trying to stay relevant. They talk about how they built, who were the women who built NXT? Who were the women who made that championship relevant? Sasha Banks and Bayley. Banks says she will also dominate Nikki Cross tonight like she owns NXT. Bayley has some words for Baszler before going and walking off. Shinsuke Nakamura, Cesaro versus Mustafa Ali and Chad Gable. Earlier this week, Mustafa Ali was on CBS, I think it was the Late Show, in this great interview about him overcoming stereotypes because he is Muslim, and he was a heel when he started in the wrestling business. He didn't want to be that stereotypical heel because usually foreign people like a Cesaro, like a Rusev, like I'm having a brain fart here for a second. The Iron Sheik and all those, they just when they're in, they have more success as a heel because they are from a different country. U.S. versus the foreign heels is always a big thing, but he didn't want to be a part. He didn't want to do that. So that's a great interview. It makes him out to be it just builds him up to be this likable dude. Even Corey Graves and Michael Cole mentioned this interview on the program. So what does WWE do? Kinshasa to Ali, 1, 2, 3, and Shinsuke Nakamura and Cesaro win. You couldn't have Chad Gable take that pinfall. No. You couldn't have Shinsuke Nakamura and Cesaro lose. No. You had to have Mustafa Ali be the guy who had this awesome interview, just coming off as a really likable dude, and he's the guy who takes the pinfall. That's WWE for you. That's just like when Cesaro faced Ilya Dragunov at NXT TakeOver Blackpool, had an excellent, awesome match. Comes to Monday Night Raw, beat by, I believe it was The Miz, in about 2 minutes. Sasha Banks versus Nikki Cross. This was an excellent match here. These girls went out there and did what they could to go out there and try and prove who was the better woman. Of course, it was announced that Sasha Banks is going to be the captain of Team SmackDown. So basically what they're going to be doing is Team SmackDown versus Team Raw versus Team NXT at Survivor Series. I have one problem with that. The night before, at NXT TakeOver War Games, unless this is how the only way they justify this. If it's 4-on-4, you have a perfect way to do this. Team Baszler, Team Rhea Ripley. The winner of that War Games match goes to Survivor Series. Then you're fine. But if you're going to expect me to have Shayna Baszler, Rhea Ripley, Candice LeRae, and Bianca Belair on the Team NXT team to go up against these other two teams, then I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. I want to hear them say, for the men, for the War Games matches at NXT TakeOver War Games, they're going to have stakes. well, they can't really because Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish are already in a match, and so is Roderick Strong, I'm pretty sure, too. But for the women's, at least, Team Shayna Baszler, Team Rhea Ripley. Yes, I know Shayna Baszler goes off against Bayley, but if Team Rhea Ripley wins, they go to Survivor Series to take on Team Raw and Team SmackDown. If Team Shayna Baszler wins, then Team Shayna Baszler goes to Survivor Series, and Shayna Baszler picks her replacement because she's already got a match at Survivor Series. So she'll pick a replacement to go to Survivor Series to face Team Raw and Team SmackDown. That is the only way this makes any sense to me. It has not been announced that Adam Cole will be taking on The Fiend. As we know, Brock Lesnar is taking on Rey Mysterio. We don't know if Roderick Strong is actually taking on Nakamura and AJ Styles. I don't think that's been announced, but if it is, sign me up. But yes. So, Cross towards the end of this match goes over to, has Sasha Banks down on the outside. Just goes over and starts beating the hell out of Bayley, who's sitting at commentary, being brooding and just moody, the person that she's being, not giving a fuck. Just tearing into Corey Graves because she's like, this guy has been telling me for months and years to act this way and do this, and I'm doing that, and what do you do when you come out and you're contradicting, you're telling me to do one thing, and when I do that, you're not happy that I did it. And then Nikki Cross beats her up, takes her headset, puts it on, screams something at Manchester. In the end, Sasha Banks wins with the Banks statement after Nikki Cross tries to get out of it. By the way, they did have Sasha Banks come out to a remix of her theme song with Snoop Dogg in the remix because he is Sasha Banks' cousin. Some people didn't like it. Some people did like it. I'll give it a chance. It was interesting to hear. So it's something that you have to get used to. I don't have a problem with it. But Sasha Banks wins. She stands tall. She exits the ring. She's celebrating. She goes up the ramp. Bayley comes in and starts attacking Nikki Cross. Shayna Baszler comes back in and beats up on Bayley again, taking her out as well again. So that was a rinse and repeat from last week. Sasha Banks comes running down. Baszler exits before Sasha can get in there. Bayley is hunched over in pain after being beat up by Shayna Baszler again. Sami Zayn is backstage with Daniel Bryan. He's saying Bryan should have celebrated with them earlier. He says Cesaro and Shinsuke Nakamura were a little upset about it, but he told them that Bryan needed a little more time. Sami doesn't really think Bryan needs more time. He thinks Bryan's mind is made up, but Bryan doesn't want to go back to the yes chant and the yes movement. He wants to move forward with them. And he tells Daniel Bryan, just say what you're thinking because we all know what you're thinking. Just say it. The lights flashed for a second before he said that, and you're wondering, maybe it was just a lighting malfunction. They're in Manchester, by the way, so I could see that happening. But then the lights go down. You hear the usual choo. Lights come back up. It's red. The Fiend is behind Daniel Bryan, not Bray Wyatt, as you see right there. The Fiend is behind Daniel Bryan. Sami Zayn's like, what? Huh? He turns around, heads off. Mandible claw to Daniel Bryan. And you're listening to this and you're watching this and you don't hear the crowd reaction whatsoever. You don't hear Corey Graves and Michael Cole going, what the hell, The Fiend? This was taped after the show. Or this was taped. The crowd did not get to see this until they were home watching Smackdown. So this was just so weird because you have Daniel Bryan getting attacked by Bray Wyatt, which is fine, but you don't hear the crowd reaction. You don't hear Corey Graves and Michael Cole. It's like, oh my God, it's The Fiend. The Fiend has got his claw in the mandible claw into Daniel Bryan, or anything. It's just complete silence as The Fiend is just laughing as he has the mandible claw in. It was a cool segment and all, but it seemed like it lacked a little bit of something because there was no crowd reaction, nothing from commentary. It was just like it was in a little bubble of itself. They cut the commercial. We see what happened when they came back. They show us video package of Crown Jewel. I wish we would stop talking about that, but that's because Tyson Fury is in his hometown to talk some shit. Now on the at the show, Tyson Fury and Braun Strowman was the close of Smackdown. I don't know why they did this way, but that is what they did. The main event, which is Baron Corbin and Roman Reigns, was taped halfway through the show. Tyson Fury talks, he hits a couple cheap pops, he calls out Braun Strowman, thanks for the opportunity in Saudi Arabia, they shake hands. And then Tyson Fury says if they ever fight again, it should be as a tag team, and then Braun Strowman just has that light up on his face like, ooh, that would be an awesome idea. Then no one ever. Then Braun Strowman said, there's nobody back there stupid enough to come out here and face us as a tag team. Then the B team come out, and Curtis Axel says this, and I quote, "Hey morons, we're stupid enough to fight you." Did anyone think that Curtis Axel have that scripted, or that one of those times he went unscripted and tried to come off sounding tough, because that sounded so dumb. Long story short, they get the asses kicked by Braun Strowman and Tyson Fury. End of that. I don't give a shit. Cole shows Baron Corbin and Roman Reigns attack on backstage from 2 weeks ago. Reigns is looking for revenge. Blah 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 blah. Dana Brooke and Carmella versus Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville. This was supposed to happen last week, but Bianca Belair attacked Dana Brooke and Carmella backstage, leading to Rhea Ripley and Tegan Nox beating the hell out of Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville. The stipulation of this match was the winners go on to team with Sasha Banks for the Survivor Series, which looks to be a 4-on-5 on 5 on 5. A 4-on-4 on 4 or 5-on-5 on 5. So it's either going to be 15 or 13 or 12. A 12 or 15 person triple threat elimination tag team match. Oh god, I don't even want to watch Survivor Series. The closer and closer we get to Survivor Series, the more and more I don't want to see this show. Full Gear is tomorrow night. That's going to be a hell of a show. This show is, like, Survivor Series is slowly starting to not be cared about by me. Brooke and Carmella end up winning this as the top rope senton by Dana Brooke, which looked absolutely awful. 1, 2, 3, that is that. And in one of the worst main events that we have seen all year, last week we had Adam Cole versus Daniel Bryan for the first time ever for the NXT Championship, and the first time those two have ever had a match. This week we get Roman Reigns versus Baron Corbin again. Again, if I had the choice to watch last week's show again or watch this week's show, I'm watching last week's show because that was fantastic. This was not. Bobby Roode and Chad and Dolph Ziggler come out to help Baron Corbin for whatever reason. Baron Corbin ends up winning the match. Stands tall, celebrates as the music hits, and that is that. This was not a good show. But honestly, any hype I had for Smackdown for the Survivor Series coming out of last week's show is gone. I don't care about Survivor Series. Anybody who says they're hyped about Survivor Series, you gotta get your head checked. This show is going to be an abomination, and I really, really wish NXT did not have to be a part of Survivor Series because they have their own show the night before. Let them go work and do their show and show you why they are the brand of WWE. They don't have to be in Survivor Series to be known as the brand of WWE. This show fucking sucked, and I cannot wait for this shit to be over with. NXT, yes, had a better number than they did and the last 4 weeks before this week, going up against AEW, and of course, yes, the only invasion stuff helped a little bit. Will NXT be able to maintain that after November? I highly doubt it. But SmackDown, on the other hand, 1 week ago, I think it was the most hyped I've been for a pay-per-view, main roster pay-per-view, since WrestleMania 30, really. I think that was the last time I was actually fully, really hyped for a pay-per-view. And this show just, I'm done caring about Survivor Series. I care about War Games because that's going to be the show for WWE on that weekend. I don't care about Survivor Series, and I'm not, unless they do something spectacular, not Monday, because we already know what happened on Monday, because it's going to be taped from Manchester. Unless they do something in NXT next week, SmackDown the week after that, and on the go-home shows, let's see here. The go-home shows for Survivor Series and War Games, if they don't do something by the go-home shows to Survivor Series and War Games, there's no hope for me to give a shit about Survivor Series. But that is just SmackDown, your quick SmackDown Live review. This show didn't deserve to get an actual long review like SmackDown did last week, or NXT on Wednesday for Thursday. But hit that subscribe button, comment down below, like or dislike this video. Find me on Twitter at The France Club, find me on twitch.tv/The France Club. Go check out The France Players as I'm playing some Destiny 2 over there. And I'll see you guys tomorrow for Full Gear predictions and Full Gear later in the night. Until then, my name is The France, and I'll see you guys later.